What do you guys think about this point where people are saying the ultimate goal we should be shooting for is to break up Russia into some states?
That's completely insane.
But it's becoming more and more popular. So why do people keep talking about it?
I think it's because there's a lot of people in our government in the West that are young and don't have education or experience, or the life experience of growing. Even guys like Ronald Reagan and stuff. They all, even if they didn't fight, they all served in World War II. They've been through that shit. They've talked to the Russians. Nixon negotiated with the Chinese. There's nobody like that in the government. I mean, we got Joe Biden. He's been around that long, but he don't remember nothing. And all these young bucks out here, I mean, those are the guys out there saying, "Oh, we could probably nuke Russia and get away with it." Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these people in the government just don't have any grasp on reality, or they just are so amateurish in their diplomatic, abilities that they just say ridiculous shit and make up these ridiculous theories like breaking up Russia. I mean, give me a fucking break. Let's break up China next, and then let's break up India. Hey, let's break up Africa. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculously stupid to break up a continent.
But
Vaughn is right, and honestly, if
World War III,
I agree with Vaughn 100%.
Just saying.
Yeah, that would be World War III. You start trying to break up Russia. Here's three good reasons why it can't happen. One is that China would get half of it. So the real long-term strategic rivalry China-US only gets worse, right? Because China would basically get Siberia and chunks of Central Asia. So that really, what does that mean? They're going to go in, and I've even seen maps that show the United States taking Kamchatka because it's next to, like, you think the Chinese would allow that? They think they'd allow Americans to base themselves on Asia's landmass? No way.
Even the Japanese might want some saying that because they have disputes. So it's like, hey, you're not taking Kamchatka, that's ours. So I mean, they would just cause more problems.
Well, and then you have civil war all across North Asia as everybody tries to get their chunk of it, and then all of the Trans-Siberian Railway and all of that doesn't work, and you have to deal with warlords every 10 feet. It's like you're turning all of Asia into Afghanistan. And when you look at that potential nuclear war of a tactical limited level, destroying just Langley, Virginia, and Washington D.C. is worth risking. Just
and the thing
destroy the United States to prevent that.
You've got people in the diplomatic corps that will look at what you just said and think that's a good idea. That's the problem. They just say shit and they think they're going to do it like, I'm just going to say this and will it into being, with no clue on how they're actually going to do this, the plan, or they come up with these stupid schemes like Maidan and shit that don't work out. And here we are.
If we look back in history, right? Anywhere north of China, right, is the steppes, and the steppes is always at war. They are the different clans and tribes are always fighting each other to the point where, if you look at the history books, it's really hard to tell who is actually in control until someone really grows so big that like the Mongols or the Xiongnu's, where they become so huge where history can actually write them down. If we allow that to happen, the war will never end. It will take a long time before they can unify. All the different tribes will unify, and there will be one hell of a horror show. Especially given that Russia have nuclear weapons, no one wants. I don't think we want Russia to disintegrate in that sense.
I mean, if they broke it up into 4 different countries, you're talking about 4 different countries with significant amounts of nuclear weapons. Because Russia has the most nuclear weapons in the world.
And they will each other.
4 nuclear countries warring with each other. This is also a problem scenario with the United States being in a breakup.
Genius plan.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the United States.
Well, I think if people are
war, that's a nuclear war right there with itself. If the United States has a civil war.
And I feel that if let's say if a nuclear
it's
weapon
less likely with the U.S., but
but if I think that let's say of all this chaos that come out, maybe CIA succeeded, Russia disintegrated, then if 1 or 2 rogue nukes hit USA is can't even go to war. They don't even know who to fight, and then they will then there will be internal conflict. Then they will have the states want to break away because you have poor foreign policy, so you cause all these problems, you cause a few million people to die. We want to succeed, and that could happen, and then USA also break up into multiple pieces. That could very well happen. So no, not a good idea. Russia disintegrating.
Well, people forget that 70% right now, according to polls in the United States, something between 60 and 70% of Americans, and this is across the spectrum of politics and domestically, want a negotiated settlement in Ukraine, even if it means that Russia gains territory that, that maybe it doesn't deserve, whatever. They just want it to end. And that's a clear supermajority of Americans right now. Now, their government isn't listening to them because the parties aren't controlled by the people. And if you go look at the statistics quoted by people like Represent Us or whatever, they'll tell you that if 100% of Americans are in favor of a policy, it has about a 30% chance of happening. And if 0% of Americans are in favor of it, it has about a 30% chance of happening. It's about what the elites want. And I think even in North Korea, there's probably more influence of popular opinion on the government than there is in the United States. So it doesn't seem to matter what real people think, but it will matter if they start to get, see cities disappearing in nuclear or biological attacks or stuff like that. That's the point at which 70% of the population being against your policies leads very quickly to heads-on pikes and actual assassinations of party leaders. And we see this exact thing happen everywhere in the world, where you get an elite that's completely out of touch with its populace. And that's more of a risk in the US than it is in Russia. I think the Russian population is more in line with its leadership right now than the American population is in line with its leadership.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I can tell you right now, speaking as an American,
What
Russia
about
could take all of Ukraine if they wanted to, and I wouldn't care. As long as we stop sending money over to them and they fix our inflation problem first. They could take the whole country for all I care.
As long as I can live in a country where I can grow old and raise some kids and just chill and be myself, I'm fine.
And not need to go to the trenches.
Right, not have to hide from the freaking sirens going off. But that's the problem, right? I have to. I don't know how old you are, Rillo, but like, I'm assuming you're not.
I'm in my 30s.
30s. You still got your life ahead of you, okay? So, do you and I both see this view of like, shit could get so much worse?
Sure, it could.
And we have to just sit here and pretend like nothing's going on?
I mean, I disagree. I mean,
but that's why we. But hey guys, that's why we should. Hey guys, that's why we should talk about the things that matters. People aren't dying because of these small details. People are dying because the West is trying to dominate the rest of the world.
Yeah,
they try to dominate Russia. That's why they're dying. They die for Russia's existence.
This was a super chat.
As bad as things are now, it's as bad as they are now. How much worse would they be if the United States were to prevail in this conflict in any significant way, and then feel empowered, enabled, and justified in then interfering in, say, a Taiwan-China reconciliation or a North-South Korea reunification? It would get worse.
I think also it would embolden the United States government to go ahead and become more authoritarian and crack down even harder. I mean, if they beat Russia, because the way I look at it with Russia, in some ways, they're kind of countering the homogeny and the degeneracy and the just worthlessness of the Western society. It's not all bad, but there's a lot of bad. And, I just don't see that going good at all.
Is it bad to think that the more the U.S. wins, like if the U.S. were to quote unquote win in this conflict, in this proxy war, that we would be even closer to a nuclear war than we would be if Russia was to win?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Okay, I don't think there's an end to this proxy war, where America wins and nuclear annihilation doesn't quickly follow.
Because Russia cannot lose. I think that which is why a lot of our speakers on the open mic always say, including myself, I also think that Russia cannot lose. This is not a war that Russia can lose.
Yeah, they can't afford to.
Yeah, they can't, because the reason is they cannot afford to lose. That's the reason. They cannot afford to lose. So they Putin really made it very clear. Medvedev.
Call him Bear Man because that's what that translates to.
It is.
Yeah. So Mad Guy, the Mad Guy did also say, we are that we are. The more the West try to prolong the war, the closer we are to World War III. He himself is giving the warning as well, and he's actually very, very powerful within Russia. So it's not looking very good. And I think RT also came out with the advertisement, right? Giving the warning to Europe about prolonging the war.